Hello Sripriya, this is Shivdev from Midafin, and today we are here to have a small conversation about your FRM journey with us. So before we start, many congratulations on clearing both parts of FRM with such excellent quartiles.
Thank you, Shiv. I think, yes, it was a great start to the new year for me this time. The results were out very soon after the new year for FRM2, and it was a pleasant surprise early in the morning.
So now I would like to start our conversation with a brief introduction of yours, like your educational background and professional background, so that our viewers can know who you are, and then we can continue.
Sure. So as you know, I'm Sripriya Iyer. I have done my graduation in commerce, and then later on went on to do my master's in finance, all from Pune. I'm based in Pune. And after completing my master's in finance, I went on to doing various roles in various banks, predominantly in the retail banking operations, risk and control space. I moved on from retail banking operations to compliance in one of my roles, where it was more or less operational risk controls and compliance to KYC, AML sort of a role. Post which I moved into investment banking, risk and control operations. So it's been a combination of both financial risk reporting, risk governance reporting basically, and also operational risk governance and reporting. So I've done these roles. Presently as well, I am in the governance space, operations come policy governance. So that's my role.
Great. Like you said, you really have a magnificent and extensive career in risk management with experience spread across like multiple big banks. So what difference has FRM created in it?
So, I always wanted to do FRM. Earlier, of course, resources were not there. The FRM was not conducted. So when I started off my career, FRM was not being held in India. You had to go to Dubai to give the exam. So that was out of reach for me. It was not possible. And from the time it is being conducted in India, I always wanted to do it, but some personal commitment or the other, and I couldn't pursue it with as much, vigor that the course requires. But I did. I started off sometime in 2017, if I remember correct. That was the time I registered. But I had an accident and I couldn't give the exam at that point in time. So later on, again, in 2021, I started off again. That's when, I thought I'll do the course completely. I was looking out for various, guidance and coaching and stuff like that. FRM as such, I never did with the intention of, what difference it will make to my career. I was always interested in risk management. It always intrigues me, how do you measure risk? It's so vague a concept and it's still evolving. So that's what still keeps me interested in risk. So I wanted to do it. But yes, apart from that, I will say FRM definitely adds great amount of value to your, not just to your CV, in terms of getting that qualification there, but it actually adds a lot of perspective to your horizon and how you look at things. So in my present area as well, though many people told me that, okay, now that you've done FRM, what's your next move? And I said, no move, it's here, and I see what I can do with my knowledge of FRM. What are the things that I can additionally do here? But yes, it gives you the opportunities. It opens a lot of many more doors to you. So that's definitely there.
Exactly. And in the coming future, the candidates with FRM will be like a cherry on top in the sector where risk professions are concerned, isn't it?
Yes, absolutely. Totally agree with you.
Coming on to my next question, how did you come to know about Midafin and why did you choose us for your FRM preparations?
Yeah, like I said, right, when in 2021, when I again thought of giving it a shot and, I felt I could give it time. That's when, and plus there was this additional maybe bonus to say that these were now online. So, that was another bonus for me because all said and done, earlier exams used to be manual. You had to go to the center and actually fill out those, those forms with those circles, and that's a different experience. Of course, I've given exams those ways also, but I think this one, because it was online, definitely attracted me. And then I wanted to pursue it any which ways. That's when I was looking through, sites. I was just Googling, putting topics and saying, okay, FRM part one, what are the available resources? What are the material available and things? And that's when I came across one of the videos of Midafin, Mickey sir explaining the concept on, if I remember correct, I think it was probabilities. That's what he was explaining. And I really found it conceptually very enriching. Though I had done probabilities earlier, the way he explained it was fantastic. It really gave me a different perspective. Plus, coming from India, many a times we for these kind of courses, be it FRM, CFA, we usually have a lot of foreign providers, or coaching institutes. And sometimes those concepts are not explained the way probably we understand it. That's what I felt. Which I really feel that that's not the case with, especially with Mickey sir. The way he gets into those concepts is amazing. I got the taste of it in that first lecture. Then I also tried to find out if there was something more. I came across a plan, the FRM study plan, which was put through for part one. And I really like that approach as well, in terms of, giving you an idea of what's the course like, how many hours do you need to spend, what are the kind of reading materials, and how do you go about it. I think all that was really, really well explained. And that's when I said, okay, if I have to go through a coaching institute, then probably it'll be Midafin. I sent them I think I sent a WhatsApp message on the number that was provided, and then Mickey sir called me himself and he spoke to me. That gave me additional confidence, and I said, okay, I have to go through it, and I have to go through it through Midafin. So that's how I chose
Okay,
Midafin.
thank you so much. That was so nice of you, Sripriya. So that brings me to my next question. Like, being so immersed in risk management, did you face any difficulties or challenges while preparing for FRM?
Yes. I mean, though I've been in risk, I have done controls, compliance. So you understand the concept to a certain extent. But I think studying the concept is completely different ballgame. Um, Challenges, there were many challenges apart from the course. I think also, though I have been studying, I mean, I was doing courses like banking certifications. I even did a risk certification in financial services sometime in 2015, if I remember correct, from CISI London. But nothing to the extent that FRM takes from you. The time commitment, the effort, the conceptual understanding, the applications, um, and how do you actually articulate, or even the questions that come through in the paper are so vast in terms of testing your concepts, right? It's not that one question is from one particular topic and it ends there. Even I think in part one, it was exactly very similar. You will have a combination of topics involved. So first you need to think what are all the things that will apply here, and then you need to apply it. So I think that was one challenge, definitely. The fact that the curriculum is vast, and probably that's why I took a bit of time as well, right? In to say that if I take up the course, I should be able to give it that sort of time, and commitment and dedication. So that's one. The second part was, like I said, being out of touch of core studies. You're so involved, you have your personal family commitments, and then you have office work. You're like in a full-time job, which really extracts things out of you. Probably days together, sometimes you don't even have a chance to look at the books. So that was a big challenge. Obviously age, yes, it being a student is very different. But then later when you get into work, you have 100 things going on in your mind, so your grasping or your retention goes down. So I feel to great extent you need to put in double the efforts to do the same thing which you would have done maybe in your 20s very easily. So that was a challenge. It's very enriching at the end of it, but through that process, it's a grind, and you have to be ready for that grind. That was something that I saw. Part one, I went through a lot of personal challenges as well. So at times I would think that, why did I even start? Not able to dedicate the kind of time I wanted to. And COVID was in its full sway at that point in time.
Right.
So it was a it was challenging. I've been overwhelmed many a times, even through
Mm-hmm.
FRM2. There've been days I've actually been crying, saying that why couldn't why did I not pace it out better? Why have I not been able to dedicate the time? But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, at the end of it, the effort is worth it.
Right, right. Like we all know that challenges are a part of our journey, but the way you manage to choose, so you chose to manage your daily activities to overcome this challenge was really commendable, Sripriya.
Thank you, Shiv.
So coming on to my next question, Sripriya, you passed part 1 with our study materials with excellent quartiles, and now you have passed part 2 as well. So what was your preparation strategy for part 2 this time?
Okay, so part two, I think from a core standpoint becomes very large.
Right.
It grows manifold. Though you've done 4 subjects in part one, and this just seems like okay, 6 subjects. It's not much. But if you look at each subject in its in its silo as well,
Mm-hmm.
it's huge in terms of reading, in terms of applying, and then there are interconnected concepts. So something which you read in, say, for example, treasury or liquidity management, and then you come on to financial risk. There are a lot of concepts which are interconnected. Even for that matter, even in operational risk, when you go through Basel, when you go through what are the applications of Basel rules and how do you calculate capital or things like that, there's a lot of interconnected topics, interconnected stuff, and that's where actually I would say Midafin's plan also helps us, because they do show where the interconnected topics are, and they in fact take the course along in that way.
Mm-hmm.
While I didn't use that exactly the same way, because for me, again, managing time was important. So what I did was I used to do combination of 2 subjects at the same
Mm-hmm.
time. Tough ones when I'm at home and when I'm able to like sit there and just do that. And other topics like operational risk being something which I've done right a
Mm-hmm.
lot. I used to, and also largely many topics are also not very rigorous in operational risk. I mean, a reading helps you understand the topic.
Right.
At least for me, I mean that's my area of strength. So that's how I played it. So I
Mm-hmm.
would actually, balance it out, saying one tough subject and one subject which is my strength, and I would actually read it in my travel time, or while I'm probably not as focused, but where I
Mm-hmm.
can give it some time, I would actually pick out those topics and I would read it simultaneously. The second thing was I again focused only on the material, on one material, which was Midafin.
Mm-hmm.
So I focused on that. I didn't go into too much of reading other material. I did reference some aspects were required in terms of my understanding, where I felt I need a little more on this one and I've not been
Mm-hmm.
completely clear in terms of the concept.
Mm-hmm.
But apart from that, I think I focused on one, and that itself is very vast to do in terms of from an examination point of view. The
Mm-hmm.
third thing which I did, and which was actually a learning for me from FRM1, was um, as I progressed through one subject or through one topic, I also came back to the tough topics, which I made a list of, saying that this is something which is not my strength,
Mm-hmm.
or I need double, triple revisions of this. I would actually create a list of it, make notes of it, and then I would come back to it often,
Okay.
because 6 months down the line you forget,
Right.
especially the tough topics which is not easy for you. Your mind tends to tell you that okay, chuck it, forget it, and that was something that I did consciously this time. I would keep going back to my earlier topics
Mm-hmm.
and keep practicing that. Practice, of course, is key for part one and part two. You
Right.
can't do without practice. So keep practicing, even if it is the same problem. I think
Mm-hmm.
I did that multiple times.
Okay.
Yeah, pretty much that was my reading. And give it the time and plan out your schedule in
Mm-hmm.
terms of your, like I said, your strengths and your weakness. Where you need to give more time, give it that sort of time. Where you don't need to, cut it short, and you could balance it out that way. At least for a
Right.
working professional, I think you can balance it out that way.
Right, right, right. Again, I must say you did a very great job, Sripriya. Yeah. So overall, how was your experience with us? Like to be very specific with Midafin.
I would say excellent. Like I said, the first lecture which I saw
Mm-hmm.
really, pushed me through and said that I have to go with Midafin. I didn't look at any other lecture after that. There was no comparison after that. Second was what I like the most about Midafin, which I have seen, while I was doing my research in terms of where to go, what are the materials to read, uh,
Mm-hmm.
through Google, you just get so much of, class information and stuff. Midafin, I find simplicity is the topmost here. They straight to the job. We are here to do FRM course, and we'll do just that. There's
Mm-hmm.
no, if I may say so, showdom or showbiz around it, marketing stunts, nothing of that sort. Very simple, straightforward. That goes down very well with me, because you get the focus right from the start. Then
Mm-hmm.
there's nothing else to it. And like Miki sir also keeps saying, that there's no shortcut. If you have to do it, you have to do it this way only. So there's nothing like a cheat sheet and you just do that cheat sheet and you can get through. It doesn't work like that. So I think that um, they actually practice what they preach. So that's something that I really liked.
Yes, yeah, we believe to keep our content and approach as simple and precise as possible. Yeah.
Yes.
So, before concluding this conversation, is there any advice or tips that you would want to share with our viewers who would be watching this video?
Definitely. One is, I have, there are a lot of people who, after my FRM2, have approached me over either through LinkedIn or through
Mm-hmm.
other channels and asked me, do you have notes? Can you share something? Can you tell me information about FRM and stuff like that? I think one is do your research. Just don't do it for the sake of doing it. If you're
Mm-hmm.
really interested, there are various options available today. So if you're choose it if you're really interested in pursuing risk, in pursuing that. So one is, get your objective very clear. Second is don't expect, the moment you clear your, say, part one and part two, and if you just get through, nothing will really, I mean, this is, do it with an intention of knowledge addition. Don't do it with the intention of, immediately getting a job through. It will happen in due course, but let's not keep that as the focus, is my point of view. It just adds to the pressure, and you'll be doing what everybody else is doing,
Mm-hmm.
rather than choosing your own course. Third is, of course, once you decide and make up your mind, plan it out, schedule it, keep in mind, so don't use anything ready made, right? Nothing, there's no one size fits all option here.
Right.
It's always, you need to keep in mind your strengths. Something which
Mm-hmm.
works for me may not work for you. So for example, like I said, right, I used to do a tough one and an easy one, but the easy
Mm-hmm.
one was based on my strength. May
Right.
not work for you. You may have some other aspects which are easier for you.
Mm-hmm.
So I think you need to plan it like that and stick to that schedule. That's
Mm-hmm.
the key. FRM is extremely vast. I've heard people say CFA 1 and 2 combined is FRM level 1 and things like that. I don't want to do that comparison. All I want to say is it is tough, it is
Mm-hmm.
vast. There are a lot of concepts. So, given that dedication, put in that effort, it will definitely pay.
Mm-hmm.
You need to schedule, stick to your schedule. If you're not able to stick to your schedule, then see where you can, buffer your time,
Right.
and come back to it. So maybe
Mm-hmm.
weekly do that assessment. Midafin has those, those Excel sheets where we can actually go and track our progress. So that's a good checkpoint, to come
Mm-hmm.
back maybe after a week, a month, and say, oh no, I wanted to do this much and I've hardly even been able to do 50% of it. So
Mm-hmm.
now where do I, you know, bring in that time or that effort? How can I do
Right.
it? And yes, of course, I couldn't do that very well in terms of managing your health. So I think that's very important.
Mm-hmm.
I
Right.
used to spend a lot of time in the night because that was the only time I would get. So
Mm-hmm.
very less sleep, and I'm still recouping on my sleep. I'm really sleeping now 4 hours together. But I think that time you need to give that dedicated effort, and spend that time, focus on conceptual clarity, and you can do it.
Yes, those were some really important points, Sripriya. I hope our viewers would find that very useful and encouraging as well. So, lastly, a very big thank you on behalf of the entire Midafin team for taking out some time from your busy schedule for this conversation. And it was like great having you here.
Thank you so much, Shiv, and happy to help in any which way I can. Maybe just one last thing which I forgot to
Yeah.
say in terms of tips was
Hmm.
I like teaching a lot. Though I couldn't do group study because my schedules were very haphazard. But if you can do the group study, explain concepts to people or explain it to yourself if you can't do group study. That
Right.
really helps. Make your own notes. Don't take notes from others. I mean, you do have material from Midafin, but then you can actually make out your own notes. It helps a lot. It helps a lot.
Right. Right. Exactly. Exactly. So, Sripriya, all the very best for your future. And like, it was great talking to you.
Thank you very much. And I will come back. I just saw some post related to AI and stuff like that. I will come back to the site and check what I can do.
Mhm, mhm.
I would
Oh,
want to pursue some of those as well. So I'll come back to you.
okay. Great. Okay, Sripriya, have a great day. Bye.
Thank you. Thank you very
Yeah.
much. Bye bye.